What up?
Hello,
Hey.
hello.
Yes, we're matching today, Brendan. So I'll have to
Is it the same one?
the same. Mine's. Oh shoot, no, they were out of those. It's like by the time if you're at DockerCon, you saw people with those. By the time you saw somebody with it, if you went to the store, they were gone. So
I was making my rounds on some of the booths chatting with somebody, and they're like, "Here, just take this." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Now we gotta find something to spend it on."
I mean, well, I guess they were wiser. Like back in the day, I feel like after DockerCon, there was like I forget which one. There were so many extra like swag and sweaters. So they were so easy to find. But yeah, this time I feel like they wised up a little bit and like, hey, let's not have like an like extra 2,000 sweaters afterwards.
I can only imagine what that does for the final budget. It makes it a lot better, I'm sure.
I grabbed like those like turquoise ones. I have like four of them from like DockerCon 2018 or 19 or something. I'm not sure if Steven was gonna join as well. Okay. Let's see.
If you can convince Steven to join, we'll have more Docker employees on this call than we've had in years.
Oh yeah. And then if you mix captains and ex-employees, then yeah.
Greg, I'm not sure you've joined one of these before, so welcome.
Hey, it's been a while. Um, so thank you. Yeah, it was several months ago, probably I want to say late summer, early fall. Um, but yeah, I have there is a specific reason I'm here, and I was completely negligent in adding it to the agenda. So my bad.
It is never too late to add things to our agenda. We are notoriously bad about that. So if there's anything you'd like to discuss, feel free to let us know and we'll get it on there.
Awesome. Thank you. I am in the HackMD doc, and I can add it myself if that would be cool.
Yep, more than welcome to.
Sweet. I can't say I've done a little bit of markdown in my day, but I'm no pro.
All right, well, we have got 5 minutes after and a good collection of folks here. I think a couple of initial things. Image spec, we've got the votes to go ahead and knock that release out. And so should we go ahead and merge that and start doing the tagging and notification on the email and all that good stuff, Sajay? I can't imagine there'll be any objections with there was only one no vote and everybody else was approving on that one. So we'll go ahead and
Where's
that taken care of.
Cypher been? I was
sure.
surprised. I was surprised he didn't show up.
Not
His
sure.
contributions are usually really bursty.
Yeah.
Like there'll
He's
be
taking-
like a month where he's commenting on everything, involved in everything, and then we'll get 3 months of nothing, and then a month where he's back and involved in everything again.
I was concerned with like the run C thing because for some reason, I don't know if we discussed that previously, it was like the embargo lift was at like noon Pacific time. And it's like, is Cypher going to do that? That's like at the worst possible time for where he's at in his time zone. But right at noon, he showed up and did it. So maybe he's still resting.
Even got Stephen Day to show up, so I figure this is a meeting of the minds with the different viewpoints on what's happening on distribution spec right now. So-
I don't think we've showed up to disagree on anything. So hopefully just to push it forward and figure out what our path forward is. So I think we're good.
Is it going to be a long discussion? Because if so, you might want to.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I think we should take care of the stuff that's easy. That's not really a discussion. So what did Greg put on? I didn't read that.
That's what I was about to ask. Greg, you wanted to chat about the FreeBSD runtime stuff?
Yeah. So basically, that working group was proposed and then approved by vote. And there's been sort of work happening by some folks, but when I went and principally, I want to be able to point people to that working group page on GitHub so that they can self-serve and sort of see what the latest is, see if there's any, areas where the working group is seeking help, find out about the latest, organize meetings, and all of that kind of stuff was not populated at all. And that's something that, I'm happy to help with because I'm useless when it comes to coding, but I can help with that kind of stuff. So, after I sort of offered to help, it occurred to me that I probably should have done a little bit more reading about what the process is to do that, if there is one, and so that was why I did eventually go and read, and it just looks like there's a handful of tools that are sort of recommended, and HackMD being one of them. So this is decent practice for me, but I really was just interested in getting folks' thoughts on, because I've attended a couple of these meetings before, but beyond that, have not been super active in the community, and I want to make sure that I'm doing it right.
Probably the best person to coordinate with on that is going to be Sam, who's not here today.
Okay, cool.
I believe he is the one that has access on that repo to do whatever needs to be done over there. Including maybe set up code owners, stuff like that. Do they set up the code owners? Or do they leave that at the default? They do have the 3 code owners. So you've got Sam, Doug, and I believe Ed is there as well, if I saw that correctly. So so between the 3, you've got the ability to get PRs merged. And so anything on GitHub, making the change over there and getting the PRs merged. Typically, when we do a working group, this is the one thing I haven't seen over there. So I've been a little bit in the dark of what's happening on the FreeBSD. There's usually a doodle poll. I always forget the name of that service, but people tend to do a doodle poll to set up a calendar invite, to get a routine schedule there to meet and coordinate on things. Folks will do maybe some initial drafts on a Google Doc just when they're rapidly iterating on stuff, sorting ideas out. And then we quickly transition that into stuff in the GitHub repo in terms of PRs and going through the process there, getting some docs up, whatever changes people think that we need to start coordinating over there.
Okay. Cool. All right.
So, yeah.
Great. That's perfect.
I have not seen a lot of stuff coming out of that. I'm noticing that a whole lot of it in the repo right now still has the templates in there all over the place. So, people just haven't had time to go through and update that. And so I don't have the detail myself to know where that is in terms of what folks have been working on over there or not.
Cool. Yeah, I noticed the same thing, and that was part of why I volunteered, because I do know that there has been activity. There's a lot of the implementations, or some of the implementations that will, I think, be considered, worked on, and then evolved as that runtime extension makes its way from, kind of nascent form now to something, more ready, is being done by Doug Rabson, kind of in the sort of FreeBSD development world, right? And so what I want to try to do is bridge that a little bit and make sure that that activity is being reflected, over here, because everybody else who goes to that working group page is going to walk away with the same impression that you have, and so, and I think it's all very new, right? And so they just haven't gotten around to picking a time to meet and all that sort of stuff. So this all makes good sense to me. So thank you for that.
And I see that you're in the Slack channel already, in the OCI Slack channel. So that would be the other place to coordinate over there.
Yep. Okay, perfect. Great. Well, that's sort of confirming some of the things that I was expecting or suspecting, but that's very helpful. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. You're the first person that's come and mentioned anything about the working group since it got created. And so I'm happy to hear that somebody is at least trying to make something happen over there.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's a topic of quite a bit of conversation, but again, kind of within the FreeBSD community, which isn't always as visible as I'd like it to be. There's still a lot of legacy ways of, like lots and lots of activity on IRC, for example. But yeah, there's a lot of excitement in the community about this. So we're excited and appreciate the the warm welcome and all the advice.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else on that, we've got our next big topic that I think everybody joined here to chat about. So who wants to lead the discussion on what's happened on the distribution spec?
Yeah, I messaged you right before that. We decided we're going to abstain from the vote, which I think means we can get the release out today. My understanding of the rules, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page of our understanding of it. The reason is just, I think there's more stuff we could put in. I would prefer we do stuff before 1.1, some of these changes, but it's not something I'm going to reject it over. So that's mainly the reason behind it. And I think even a single abstain would mean we're ready to go, based on.
I think that's all we need,
right?
just one of you to abstain. I think if all three of you simultaneously abstain, that might cause chaos. But one abstain would get us past this point.
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, I know. Mike was on the spectrum of LGTM to abstain, and yeah, I don't know how much you want to discuss the reasoning. I said I'll open up issues about specific stuff. I added a 1.1.1 milestone for some stuff that I think we could put in to like small stuff, and then yeah, some of the larger stuff. Yeah, I'd love to see it go in sooner. And I know we're gonna have disagreements over like whether or not the point release. Well, I guess we don't even really have a definition of a point release because we've only done a 0.0. It's not a major release. It's not really like a minor release. So like at what point is like, do we hold stuff off for RCs versus like whatever? So yeah, we've talked about it. I was kind of busy the last few months. I have a bunch of like half completed PRs, but I didn't want to just drop them and just be like without suggestion of what to actually do with them. So I'll make some issues about tracking some of the stuff. Maybe I'll open up some PRs, but I'm not going to open up any PRs before we get the release out. So that's basically where I'm at. I don't know if there's anything you want to discuss around it. We can. I'm open for it. But.
I think I'm just happy to see us making some progress here, one way or another. Jesse, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same. That's nice. It's nice to see some progress, and I think I just wanted to make sure, but think you nailed it. That you have a pretty good finger on what you would like to see happen, and that we could put that in writing and pursue it. I think, yeah, I think this has all been a really kind of a learning experience of like minor versus what feels major, because it's just been so long without a minor. I feel like the muscle we've built should not be allowed to atrophy. I think if you have some ideas on what we should be doing, I think we should jump on making that happen. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. And thanks for all the thoughtful review.
Yeah, I think I mean I think a retrospective is warranted. I wasn't trying to do that here. Like, let's get the release out and then we can retrospect.
That's a great idea.
I think yeah, especially with other working groups ongoing, I think there's some retrospective that we should more about, not necessarily just the distribution release, but the working group process as well. I mean, it was the first exercising of the working group process, and it didn't go how I wanted it to go from but I might have had unrealistic expectations in terms of like you know, I want everything to work how it worked before. Like, I want, you know, registries go out, ship it, you know, get a critical mass, you know, and then come back to OCI and then we standardize it. That might have been unrealistic to think, or an unrealistic approach, especially since others are kind of, yeah, and it's, yeah, we've talked about this chicken and egg problem before, but yeah, we have different perspectives on like on that, and I think it's fine to have those different perspectives, but yeah, we should at least figure out where that caused the most conflict and how to resolve that earlier on in the process, which, yeah, I understand it was late in the process to raise some of this stuff.
Yeah, echo what Jesse said. Excited to see us make progress, and you know, I think we've also learned the importance of being able to try things out ahead of the specs, and so some of the work we've done to be able to test this in some of our internal environments will help, and you know, maybe we can figure out ways to do experimental features. I think with really big registries, it's just tough to put things in the hands of customers that we can't actually stand behind. But I think yeah, I don't know. Looking forward to working with you in the next few months to iron out the updates.
Nothing else has convinced me we need a second minimal registry that we can easily test things on. So I've been working on that on my side projects lately, so that we just have multiple examples to test the conformance test, exercise that muscle.
Cool.
Yeah, getting the like we have something working versus like we have like something working at like scale, like bridging that gap is, I mean, it's a challenge anywhere, like at any organization, but especially like in a group of, you know, we all represent different implementations of different sizes and different use cases, so it's tricky. It's a tricky one.
I feel like if Steve-O doesn't join in and contribute something, I'm going to feel like it's a missed opportunity.
He's here, Brandon. What more do you
I
want?
know.
Look at him.
It's just the thrill of having him here.
He was here the last time I was here, I feel like.
How's it
Yeah,
feel
nice.
having the gang back together?
I'm not gonna say anything if I can't contribute something intelligent. So, I mean, this is a
Are you
difficult
mocking
problem.
me?
No, I'm not saying no. The people who are speaking are contributing something intelligent. I mean, the big issue is that, you know, once the spec is released, it's like a one-way operation. So if there's like any concerns at all, I'm like, whoa, hold on. And I think the tough thing about this one is like, I don't know the new stuff in 1.1. I don't know how much is in production versus how much is like theoretical, like how much is proved out, like and I know some, some of it's proved out, some of it's not, like I don't know. That's all.
I think we heard from both Jesse and Michael that they've done tests internally on things on their side, correct? Not
Yeah,
not public facing.
That's true. And in the scale at which we can internally test could be greater in the future. We have a pretty big sandbox over here. But yeah, I think a more like a better example of testing this in flight would be Azure and Sajay's team, because they actually have the capability of putting a dev preview out. So yeah, I think back to Michael's point, I think we've learned new ways to do this. So I think all of this timeline could be compressed. We could do more of that testing in flight. We could have more open communication. We can make sure that people are more engaged and not move on without that engagement. I think that was kind of part of it too, is like people get busy. Like we see this across open source everywhere, and even not open source, right? People get busy. And so the idea that we're like, well, we're here and we're doing it and it's in the open, I think we learned to not leave certain like voices out of the the conversation before we cross thresholds. That's kind of just my abstract take. And maybe we're approaching retro here, where I agree, Derek. I don't think we should do that here, but I'm really looking forward to that conversation because I think there's a lot of value in that.
Well,
And
yeah, we should probably have a retro, but I mean, in the near term, like we should probably, like, if I'm looking at the image spec, like 1.1 seems pretty clear to me. I mean, but it might be good to have some release notes so that we can like put to on the distribution side and say, here's what's in this 1.1 spec and here's how it benefits, like not just the companies that are involved in the spec, but like the actual users. Like what features do we see happening because of these changes? Because like I think a lot of my analysis is I have been busy. I haven't been working. And I just started a new job. So I'm coming into it trying to figure out, hey, what were the changes made? Why were they made? And I think we need to be more like forthcoming about that as OCI so that we can have release notes and talk about, hey, we put in feature X because it solves problem Y, and be very very open about that and make sure we agree on it and not take, like, if we're not agreeing on it, like maybe the disagreement could be valid, it could be not valid, I don't know, like we have to look at them. But if we should have those release notes and with those statements that we all agree on in the OCI, and make sure that our users can consume those statements, if that makes it. I know that sounds really simple, but like I think it's a powerful concept for people to understand, so they can understand what the benefit of the OCI is.
I think beyond just the release notes, we also need to do a blog post on this. So no
Yeah.
matter what we do on this, that's going to happen.
yeah, I think I would just I completely agree, Steve. I would say that like that is there. That was part of our conversation. I think just it might harken back to the making sure all the interested parties and all of the valuable input is on the same page before we keep going down kind of a road. We certainly have an idea of what the use cases are, and I'll tell you, I cannot wait until client managed indexes are out of our repos. It is a freaking mess. So that in and of itself, I'm really excited for. There's not much of a response there, so I'm just going to be excited by myself.
I just don't know what you mean by that. That's all.
The referrers right now with 1.0 registries and clients that do reference types, they just use an index. They use an OCI index, which is a mess because that's not really designed for that, and there's no like blocking semantic and clients can kludge it all up and it's just terrible. So I'm looking forward to moving away from that. And the refers API helps us move away from that, just to be clear.
All right, so I think Sajay is actively working on the image spec right now. I saw that got merged, and I'm guessing he's probably doing some other stuff in the background as we speak. Anything left to discuss on distribution spec in terms of concerns? I know, Derek, you've got issues that you're opening up on that before you get the vote in. Mike, I know you mentioned, I saw you just joined here late, but I know you had mentioned that you were still doing some considering over there. Just want to make sure before we get the one last vote. Okay, got the abstain there, so we'll go ahead and close this one out.
Yeah, I sent my abstain as approve on the GitHub because GitHub doesn't have.
Doesn't have the
Yeah.
option, but I
Yeah,
will make sure
that's-
to note that
that's
when
fine
we
to go.
tally the final vote.
Yeah, I put it in the mailing list. Yeah, I think everyone should get their votes in, and then we can tally it up on the list.
Are there others that want to vote right now before I hit the merge on this thing?
All right,
Because I
Mike,
think
are
we only
you
need the one.
Mike joined, but I haven't heard him talk yet.
Yeah.
Nope. Hey, Mike.
So we voting in this call to merge something again?
I
I'm
think
just about to hit the merge on the 1.1 release unless you say you want to put a vote on there before I hit that button.
So a time limit was set.
so Mike, yeah, so I put my abstain vote in, and I think now we're at what, two,
Okay.
whatever. I think, yeah, we should wait. I think I would just get their vote in and then
Okay.
Okay.
good to go. I don't know if I know we talked before, Mike, you're between LGTM and abstain.
I think we can do what we need to in a follow-up release.
Yeah, I put a lot of the issues that we're talking about. Yeah, I made the 1.1, sorry, so many ones, milestone. So we can consider some stuff for there. And
Yeah. The only concern I had, and this was an old one, and I wasn't sure if I was going to bring this up or not, was back in the day on OCI, or when we came out with the V2, this is before OCI, when we came up with this for Docker, a lot of people really wanted a more static format, like a thing that I could put in a web server and like serve up somewhere without having any active API to fetch the images. And I think this goes in the opposite direction of that. That's all. That was my bigger concern here. Was like the idea you could, like, if you go to like a RPM package repo, there's like a metadata index and then a list of packages, and you can serve it up with Python base HTTP server or something like that. And this, I don't know if we can. One, I don't know if we even want to take the spec in that direction ever again. Two, I think this kind of like takes that out of there. And really, I mean, we're supporting this like very dynamic DAG at this point. So like maybe that, this was like a critique of OCI image spec and distribution spec early on that like I took somewhat seriously, but like I don't know if that critique is still kind of out there.
Can I pull apart a little bit real quick? Which is you're making 2 points there that I think might be in conflict with each other, which is that you want a very tightly coupled DAG, but you want a web server that serves it up without doing any processing. Would that mean that you can't do validation?
I don't think that implies that you can't do validation. Like you would basically assemble it up and then serve up all those resources statically.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you want that, I've already got that. That's my little test registry I've been working on, and it's just built on top of the OCI layout.
Okay.
And so I've been playing around with that. I know John Johnson was asking about that a long time ago, and so that was my little side hobby project that I put together recently. And
So you could just drop it into like an S3 static, but serve it up as a static bucket.
static bucket, or even easier, just a directory on a file system.
Okay.
I
Alright.
don't have the S3 hooks directly in there right now, but if you just do it on top of a file system, it would just serve out that static content read only.
Yeah. So the referrals response is just an index, right, on the digest URI. So we actually have that where we pre-compute the referrals because we don't depends on some scale requirements. So it's not
Same.
doable. It's just a matter of how if you want to keep that I don't know, the thought process that everything should be self-static, then it is doable right now because our tag listing on one of the implementations don't have any dynamic content, and same way that our first content is also static to some extent.
Yeah, same. All the computation and
It's just to get
validation is on the
API.
put, not on the get.
Yeah, and I think if we do add the put in later on to the refers, it does make it more like you would expect from a normal web server, and there's not too much more other than what you're saying, Brandon, just validation. But validation could be done client side as well. Like the client can reject content. Ideally, you don't have one client uploading content and then the next client validating and rejecting it. But I mean, in theory, you could in HTTP world. So.
And just so I understand the vote, Steve-O, you didn't say abstain on yours, so is that a LGTM?
Oh, on the mailing
You're
list.
muted.
Do we need it on the issue or on the mailing list?
Officially, people want it on the
Technically,
mailing
mailing
list. We
list.
say we should. We don't say you must. Did you say something over there? No, I don't see it over there yet. But I was just looking at your GitHub response, and so I just wanted to make sure that I'm tallying your vote correctly.
I mean, I'm not blocking the release. I did an approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we're unanimous there.
Yeah, same, not blocking the release. I think one of my primary goals is to make sure that we don't break having the ability to push indexes, platform indexes that include the artifacts. I've discussed that for the purpose of being able to, make sure that nobody can modify what artifacts are valid for our business images, right? And I think we're okay with that now, but we don't explicitly call it out, right? There's no way, we don't talk about pushing a set of artifacts and then pushing the index for it, and then having that be a part of our platform index. It's not defined, but it is doable with the current system. It's not optimized, and I think we have some performance issue things to work out. This idea of having hundreds of artifacts, or signers for artifacts that point to other artifacts, it seems like it would be much easier to sign the root, right, of the tag. And I think we're okay with that, but if that requires some heavyweight client, I can understand why, Jesse would think that would be possibly an issue. But I think it's just an alternate pattern. We sort of diverged here from having registries that hold and violate the entire image, and therefore are viewed by our customers as secure, validated when they're pulled to the local client, right, and put it in the cache. So we run them in a cluster, we're confident that nothing has changed. But now, over time, those images can be getting additional artifacts. They have to be validated. And I think we're missing a lot of attestation type framework in our API. Maybe this isn't the place to put attestation, but it was built in before. Now it's not built in for this particular type of artifact. So concerning, yes. Can we fix it? Maybe. For the other use case patterns, let's do that in the next release.
Yeah, I think the main thing to consider before voting here was, yeah, there's some changes we want to see and make sure that there's not like we're not putting ourselves in the corner with some of the language. And I think, yeah, for the most part, we can tighten some of the stuff up, but I didn't see anything blocking.
Yeah, and performance wise, I really liked Brandon's idea of having the, you have artifacts since the last poll. Would be nice to have that kind of header. Right. Otherwise, we pull this thing 100 times. We're going to be pulling thousands of artifacts. Okay. No, you guys get it. Thanks. Oh, and good job, work group. Looks good. Let's go.
Steve, you got your hand up there.
Yeah. Just does anybody remember Schema 1?
Yes.
Behavior?
Dude,
Okay.
you realize we're still
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
deprecate
No,
that in
Docker
Container D.
Schema 1. Right? Yeah, not OCI 1.
Well, Schema 1 was under OCI because it had to be for compatibility. I mean, I think we mentioned it at least.
It,
Like, I hope
it
we
was
didn't
in the
delete
back
that.
in the background stuff. Yeah.
We still have one manifest.
Yeah, they still exist. But no, but I'm talking about the pretty jot. Was that what it was called? Where it would. So this is like Schema 1 plus pretty jot, and every time you would push it, it would add a new signature. And at some point, we realized like you would just push it over. People would just push it over and over and over again. So there's probably still Schema 1 images that exist, but not with the pretty jot, where it would like have a signature kind of hanging off the JSON that would try to sign some other portion of the JSON. And if you had some build that would keep repeating a push of an image, it would add these signatures over and over and over and over and over again. And each time you did it, it would kind of like change. It would like change the nature of the image over and over and over again. So as long as we aren't necessarily ascribing to that in a way that'll make a blob extremely massive, then I think we'll be okay. But we do need to watch out for that because that was a mistake that we made early on. It was really cool. It was a really good hack, but it had some problems. So.
Well, yeah, I had problems. I mean, it comes down to, I think, a lot of the problems, especially on the client, is when you process stuff. So I think some specific concerns I've been thinking about the last few days is some of the cases where I've been hearing like how refers get used is in some ways a little bit troubling because it moves away from some of the guarantees we get automatically by having kind of cryptographic verifiability of our subcontent. So an example would be I don't want to use the AWS one, but it's like if you have cached content that you're trying to use refers to, whether that's for like a specific snapshot or like precompiled images or something, and you want to get that stuff via refers for an optimization, we're stuck in like, how do we do the ordering here? Where it's like, I have an image, I want to generate some like, say, optimized version of the file system, and I want to push it up as refers. And now as a client, I need to like, oh, I have this optimized content. Let me go ahead and pull that down. And now I've completely bypassed the entire cryptographic chain that we were using before. That was inefficient. I mean, there's valid reasons to do that, but I think we need to think about some of those problems in terms of like how we suggest some of this stuff be used and how we, how we would recommend getting back those kind of same levels of guarantees. Like changing the image sometimes is not so bad of an option, but like some of that stuff is just left a little bit undefined to the user. But it's early, but those are the kind of concerns I have about like how we might get stuck in a situation like that, or might start seeing security vulnerabilities flowing by and all of them are mentioning refers.
Yeah, I've seen people that say they want to do cross-repository refers, and I had to push back on that, saying, well, now you're saying that any user on Docker Hub could potentially add a refer to the Ubuntu image that everybody would see, and I don't think anybody wants to see something like that. So there has been awareness that we want to be careful about how we allow people to implement this in a way that we don't introduce too many security bugs. So
yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same problem as tagging is today. I mean, we tried to, in Containerd, put a two-tier trust system in place where resolving an image and pulling an image by digest is two different tiers of trust, because when you resolve an image, you're just starting with a string. And here, even though we have a digest, really we just have a string from the perspective of like the user. As you said, Brandon, it's a string that looks like a digest. It's not like, you know, it just happens to be a digest, but you know, there might be some lack of understanding of that to some users, and especially users to see this like, hey, I can do something that I couldn't do before. And they think they're getting the same guarantee because I'm pulling by digest, but you're actually not, because that digest isn't actually verifiable underneath the same tree. But
the digest is potentially verifiable because the user probably knows what that points to. It might not be in the same repository if they're doing intentional client side.
Yeah, and that's a part of what I was saying. We need some framework for attestation of those digests.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's different.
yeah, it's more like I trusted this hash, or like I resolved this tag to this hash and I trust it. Great. And now I use this hash to go fetch more content for it, but that content isn't actually verifiable back to that hash. Like you need another chain, like you need another attestation, or you need another trusted step essentially to get that content. And like I don't know how we're going to do that in Containerd, if we're going to have like another resolution or just use like our second trust step to do that. But like you wouldn't want to go to like an untrusted mirror to get that kind of content, for example.
We do get that today. Sometimes there are, for example, extra platforms. If you go to pull down, you know, a platform that's in a platform index, we may not have pulled that platform down because we didn't need it, right? Where other clients, like Cryo, for example, will actually pull all the platforms, validate the entire thing, even though they didn't need it, just so they can validate the platform index.
Yeah, at least most of the time.
Somewhat
yeah.
similar, but different, right? Different
yeah, but usually we would at least be able to pull those by digest, whereas here we're pulling by a digest, but it's not actually the digest of the content that we're getting back.
Yeah, I can smell search strings. Well, it wasn't in that one. How about this registry? Yeah, that's yeah, but not the same password.
What I've been seeing from the security vendors that have been implementing this is that they're not, I mean, they care about the digest of the content they're signing or testing or something like that, but all of their security is put on top of that with a signing solution. So they're doing container signing on the digest, and so you're putting that trust in the signature, not in the digest. Similar with attestations, they're signing whatever, you know, some attestation on here's the SBOM, something like that. They're putting that trust in the signature on top of whatever that content is that they provided up. And so you're getting the content, you don't know the digest and the content in advance, but you know the authority that signed that content.
Well, so I mean, I think the recommendation here could just be that either you need, like in that case, it'd be kind of refers. So like I have referring content that maybe I'm trying to use like the optimized cache, like whatever it is, like there's some blob that's an optimized, precompiled, whatever cache, you know, and it allows you to bypass something in the image to be faster. And we haven't actually verified that by digest. I would expect that you would either do that by trusting the source or trusting a signature. But now if we have a signature, it's the same thing where it's like, it's just an extra step. It's like, okay, now for this thing, we need to go get refers for that as well. Which, you know, it's kind of, it's one of those things that I think we're going to have to call out, because I think the confusion there is that users might not understand that by requesting something by digest, this isn't actually the digest of the thing. Like we're not, like there is some level of figuring out what we have to do there and make sure that we don't get like a flood of misuse and security issues related to it.
Thanks, Jim.
I am bad at doing releases and everything with the video rolling, so I'll hold off on that until after this. But do we want to chat about any of the issues that you opened up, Derek, while we got you here?
I'm pretty sure we've chatted about most of those issues already. I'd honestly, I'd rather have conversations in the issue tracker for the most part anyways. Like here, it's just chatting, syncing with everybody. I'm not sure in the past that we've really made so much progress in here. That's why. But yeah, I think here's the time to just be humans and go do computer stuff later. I mean, I would love to see, like, I saw Jesse and Josh both have guitars in the background if they want to like play the guitar. Like maybe, I don't know, but
I think we need an OCI band. I 100% think we need an OCI band.
I mean, if we're taking requests for what's next, but okay, that's fine too.
Just make it blues. That's my only request.
I just play music while Brandon does the release or something. The release change.
Merge away,
I'm
Brandon.
not, just to be clear, I'm not going to do that. But we should have an OCI band.
I just want to say that this has been phenomenal. I mean, from the working group all the way here, ups and downs, yes, but hearts all around. Like it's a lot of work, a lot of conversations, a lot of meetings. It's not over, obviously, so but it's still a good milestone, and I think we still want to address the things that we pushed down a little bit. So worth to take a breather for some time.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, disagreements are good. I think we're all no bad blood from my perspective. But
Yeah, no, I've been kind of thinking about this, and I feel like it's only because people care, right? If you didn't care, we just leave. I think people are here kind of like talking about this because they care. So it's yeah.
Yeah, I'll publicly apologize for the times that I've been frustrated in the GitHub queues and in personal messages and stuff. It's just been a long road, and I think, yeah, like Sajay said, it's hard to after 2 years, still be coming across the same issues. So, but I'm glad we got here. Thanks for everyone who stuck around, because people have dropped off.
yeah, I do like working with you, Josh, and as much as like I want to be mad or frustrated about stuff, it's like I can't help it. I've always liked Josh. I don't know. Just such a nice guy.
Well, maybe I will play guitar for you all then after that comment.
Yes.
I'll play the guitar if the releases are cut in the next 10 minutes.
So we can all get along. This is great.
No, I'm just hoping the next like OCI get together can be a little bit better than the last one. But
yeah. Start getting on the whiteboard and talking about,
When is the next one actually? Is there going to be a get together at LinuxCon? Because there was some possibility I'll be there.
There is going to be a get together at KubeCon in Paris, but I don't know how many of us are going to make it there.
dial in. I think.
Yeah, see you on Zoom. I'll probably be at NA. We can plan out.
Yeah, for the Seattle folks, easy one.
In the good old days, we would be scheduling the next actual sit down, not at a conference, at one of the
Yeah, at one of our offices. That was so fun. I
Yeah.
still say IBM had the best ones. They brought in good food.
Certainly get a lot more done there. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I think we floated that. Mike, you and I floated that when we saw each other in Chicago. I think I would be down with that. Thinking about doing like a 2-day work work summit kind of thing in one of the offices.
2 days.
Well, I think we used to do 4, but I don't think ain't nobody got time for that now.
The last one I remember was a 1 day.
I think, didn't we? Oh, maybe that was OpenStack. OpenStack was maybe the 4-day deal. Yeah. 1 day. Fine. Yeah, I was in Solaris. Remember, I had to chase all the things. OpenStack.
Yeah. Okay, so
Well, thanks everybody.
time to go import this.
Where are we
thing.
at?
Bring it.
It is tagged. I'm just pushing
The
through these notes here.
Yeah, Brandon was ready. No take backs.
We do have some links I think we need to update to like distribution spec back to like image spec, so that we're missing some links there, but yeah, get that image spec tag out first.
All right, all. Folks want a few minutes back? Break for your next meeting?
Good. See y'all.
Awesome.
Thanks
I will
everybody.
finish getting this release out. Sajay, thanks for all your help on the image spec over there.
Yeah.
And
Thank you, Brandon. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon, a lot for a lot of work going into this. So just say, even disagreements doesn't matter. We appreciate the hard work. Oh,
he's got the hat on. Mike and Derek, both of you. I know it's been painful, but I appreciate you sticking it out all the way through the end with us here.
There you go.
This is for you, Josh.
Nice.
all right, later, everyone.
All right. Cheers.
Thanks.